everyone, and welcome to Century Furniture's Wednesdays at 1. I'm John Welker, and I will be your host for today's webinar. While our guests are logging on, let me cover a few things. As our country has begun to reopen, we will be scaling back our webinars to once a month. We will promote them well in advance, so you will have the opportunity to save the date. And remember that our webinars are located on all of our social media handles, as well as on our designer studio under the What's Important tab. Today's interview is with Allison Paladino. Not only is she an acclaimed interior and furniture designer, she also is one of my dearest friends. Please join me in welcoming Allison as we discuss how she is creating balance in her life while stepping back without losing control of her design firm. We will leave time at the end of our discussion for questions you may have for her. And Allison, welcome.
Hello, my dear friend John.
Thank you.
Hi.
The live via Zoom virtual, I guess we're going to call it.
Yes. I wish I could give you a great big hug, but this will do for now.
Same here. So let's get started.
Okay.
Growing up, Allison, did you always know that you wanted to be an interior designer?
Absolutely not. I actually grew up in a household where there was an interior designer, so I've been around it all my life. And being a rebellious kid, like most kids are, my mother wanted me to be a designer, so that's the last thing I wanted to do. And I was going to go into PR and marketing, but I soon, once I got into college and found my way around, I decided to go into design, and I can't imagine doing anything else. She was the one who found my acceptance letter. She didn't even know I had applied, and you can imagine how that went. Knowing Betty, since you know my mother, she was in tears. But yeah, now I can't imagine doing anything else.
I love it. Where did you go to design school?
Well, in high school, I was a pretty mediocre student. I enjoyed social activities much more than I did studying. And I ended up going to a local community college. And after a year, I went off to UNC Greensboro and figured out that it was just too big of a school and found out about Mount Vernon College in Washington, D.C. It was an all-girls school of 500 and a really fantastic design school, very strict to get in. I was happy to get in, and Mount Vernon's now owned by GW. Somehow I turned into this fierce competitor. I ended up graduating cum laude. And it's funny, now I run into high school students that I went to, my buddies I went to school with, and they're all like, Paladino, how did you do it? So it was a great school for me.
Love that. And after graduation, what was your first job? Who did you go work for?
Well, it's funny, I was interviewing mostly for commercial jobs and hospitality. I can remember I interviewed at Marriott. But for my senior project, I wanted to borrow this glass panel from a rep, and the rep said, "Okay, you can borrow it. It was for my senior project, but you have to return it to Tom Pheasant's office." I said, "Sure, no problem." I didn't know who he was, so I walked in his office and I looked around. I said, "Oh my gosh, what do you guys do here? Your office is fabulous." And Tom Pheasant comes around the corner. He says, "May I help you?" Very seriously. I said, "Yeah." "What do you do?" He says, "Well, I'm an interior designer." I said, "Oh." I said, "Well, are you looking to hire?" And he said, "Honestly, we might be." And I said, "Well, could I see your portfolio?" Can you imagine that as a brazen kid? So anyway, he ended up showing me his portfolio. I recognized a ton of his sources, and then he asked if I would show mine to him, and ironically I had it in the car, and we hit it off like a house on fire. We got along so well, and another thing about Mount Vernon College, they were so strict on hand drawings. Even to this day, I do all hand drawings, and I showed him the hand drawings. He hired me immediately and worked for him for 4 years. And he taught me a lot about interior design. He taught me about product design and also business practices that I still do today. And he's still a mentor and a very dear friend of mine.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's good to keep those first employers close at hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
You always know or realize that you would own your own company or your own firm, or at that time did you think that you would always remain employed by others?
Actually, I never wanted to own my own firm.
Oh, wow.
I know what my mother went through, all the trials and tribulations and headaches from clients, and I will never, ever do that. And I actually did work for my mom for a little while, and my mom is also my best friend, and I soon figured out that it was not good as an employee situation. And I ended up working for Jennifer Garrigues. I spent another 4 years working for her. She is a Palm Beach designer, very talented. She's a magician when it comes to color. And she had a lot of experience with antiques, antique rugs, and I learned a tremendous amount from her. She actually introduced me to many New York antique dealers, so I'm very appreciative to have those years with Jenny, but I did reach a ceiling with her, and I knew that I was outgrowing it, and I actually was in Italy in a vineyard with friends, and we were having a great time, and I decided at that moment I was going to go out on my own, and now I can't imagine doing anything different. It's worked out great.
Awesome. And so, Allison, when exactly did you start your own business?
So I was 30 years old, believe it or not, and in 1997, we grew pretty rapidly. Before 2008 hit, I was a 10-person firm, and I had a retail shop on Worth Avenue. Things were rolling, and we were doing so great until the crash. 2008 taught me a really good lesson, and I had to lay off 8 people. That was excruciating. It was so painful and heartbreaking. And I actually chose one designer, a very green designer, and she, I could tell, had potential, and she's actually a senior partner with me today. She's been with me for 13 years.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great to still have her. And I tightened my belt. Like I said, I closed the retail store. I had a studio in my home, and this is actually something that helped me, with COVID. Working out of the house, I've always been productive, and also, after 2008, I was very careful with cash flow.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta watch where those monies go.
Oh boy, that's for sure.
So if you were to coin your style of design, what kind of design do you do?
So we specialize in renovations, custom architectural detailing, all the way to furnishings, to accessories. Most of our work is, I would say, high-end residential, although we did complete a 52,000 square foot common areas of a condo here in Palm Beach, which actually Century was involved with. We did some custom pieces together.
Your business.
Yeah. So, and then we've done some yachts, and obviously a product designer.
Love it. I know that you started designing products for manufacturers across the country, I don't know, I think maybe 12 years ago. So what have you designed, and who are you designing for?
So it all started with, I had designed so many pieces for clients, and I ended up having this huge portfolio. I hired a PR guy who started helping me focus on 5 goals, and one of them was to have products, to start some collections. And so I went and I had this portfolio, and lo and behold, I started with E.J. Victor. We've done many furniture collections together. And then I did lighting. That was a lot of fun. It was more complicated than I thought it would be, but Fine Art Lamps did a beautiful quartz-like glass collection lit with LED that I did with them several years ago. And then, of course, thrilled to launch Sail with Century. So happy with that. And that was born really out of necessity in my design business. It bridged the gap between traditional to contemporary. I couldn't find anything like it. Just very clean, easy to use. And I'm happy to say we have a couple clients that have already purchased some of the collections. So that's exciting.
Love that.
And then just recently we launched a collection with perennials. That's been a lot of fun. It's a performance collection, and Tibetan hand-knotted rugs and applique embroidered pillows that have a lot of texture and graphics. So that's been great. I just love working with that company. And I'm ghost designing for leading manufacturers. And then fast forward, I will launch with Visual Comfort an outdoor lantern collection.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I understand after 32 years of being in the biz, you're starting to back up a little bit and do some delegating so you can smell the roses, or as I should say, so you can smell the salt air.
Oh. Yes, you're absolutely right. You wanted to be personal, right, on this thing? So I went through a nasty divorce 4 years ago. I also lost some dear friends, and it really forced me to take a step back and realize just how short life is. Always been very caught up in my business. Working 12 plus hours a day and weekends, and honestly I got pretty burnt out. I wanted to spend more time with loved ones. 4 years ago I met a special sailor and I became one, and since living part-time on a sailboat, I've enjoyed that. That's been different. And a year and a half ago, we ended up buying a boat in England, and we sailed it to Fort Lauderdale. So during the process, I've learned that I'm very productive on the sailboat. I do have ADD and also dyslexia, so you can imagine any distraction. It's really great when it's quiet and peaceful on the sailboat. I get a ton of work done. And I think that too readied me for everything that we're going on with COVID. I've heard a lot of friends and clients tell me how much work they're actually getting done from home, that some prefer now to work at home versus their business. So that's been a good parallel for me.
Yeah, I remember when you sold the big house after the divorce, and when you scaled down from 2,000 square feet to a sailboat. That's a big adjustment for you.
Oh, yeah. It was very good cleansing. Oh my gosh. Get rid of all the materialistic things and realize just how special life is and the more important things in life.
So while you're on the boat or at sea or even docked, at a slip, how do you manage your business from there?
Well, initially, we meet with clients as a team. I attend the most important meetings, and with my team, we establish a path, a creative path for each project. We focus on the fabrics and furniture and construction and lay out the project of how we see it and what our goals are. And I'm also in close contact as to what's going on. More time away means you've got to give up the reins. And like I said, I've got my senior partner, Zita, who is awesome, that's been with me for 13 years, and she oversees the inner workings in my absence. She's got her eyes and ears on the ground, and I'm just so appreciative to have her. And, just as a business owner, I think it's so important that you show appreciation to your employees. And I think it is important. Everybody wants to grow in a business and wants more responsibility. So she's moved into that position beautifully. And, you know, we've worked together for so long that we can almost finish each other's sentences, which is a fantastic marriage. And she'll put together the furniture and fabric schemes, and she'll present to me, and we might tweak it a bit, but she's really leading the design projects there, and she's just doing a fantastic job. Every now and then we'll do something together, but most of the time she's doing it. She's doing it great. You know, it's a scary thing to let go of the reins and control, to let go of that control. But boy, once you do, and an employee proves that they can do it, that gives you more confidence, and it makes you feel really good. So I'm very thankful for that. And then we have Lauren, who is a CAD operator and also an interior designer. She's fairly new with my company. She is going to be running the construction end of things. Zita and I were balancing a lot of that stuff together. But now we have Lauren, and I'm still involved with the space planning and the architectural designs. I draw from the boat, and Lauren and I work together. But eventually she'll be doing more and more. And of course I have a controller and office manager, Nicole. She's terrific too. And I think I'm just fortunate to have a talented staff, and I trust them. Those are some big words. So that allows me to work from remote, and also, you know, take some time off, which is very unusual for me.
Well, you were so married to your career for so many years. It's hard to make that switch in life and start letting go and truly help all there as you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough, definitely.
So knowing you as a bit of a control freak like I am, and OCD and ADD and HDHD and all of the acronyms, how does it feel as a business owner and such a creative force to start delegating your design work?
It was, in the beginning, it was really hard. Like I said, you know, jumping off that cliff finally, I realized that it could be done without me, and it can be done well. And I also realized it was a necessity. You know, the other thing I experienced was the guilt. To get away from that guilt, I mean, all I've been doing all my life is working. It's all I know. And, you know, whether it was here, I have a little apartment close to the office that's by the Intercoastal, going for a walk and not getting into the office until later is like, oh my God, I've got to get in the office. It's like, Allison, relax. So that's taken a while to, number one, forgive myself and allow myself to do this. I mean, it has been 32 years that I've worked my tail off.
Sounds like good therapy sessions there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a great therapist and a great patient lately. But you know, I think with my company, I've set extremely high standards, and my staff knows that. I like to offer our clients excellent service and attention. You know, from afar, people might look at us and think, wow, all they do is have fun. And it seems like they must not do a lot of work. And it's funny, we do have fun. We have a blast together. And I actually miss that. I miss being with Zita and going to the design center with her. But also the other side of us is we have a fierce work ethic. And we love to make our clients work, but boy, can we ever get a lot of work done. We're a mean, mighty working machine. We're also blessed with right brain, left brain. And I think that's a tough one when it comes to interior design, right? Tom Pheasant had that. And I'm sure he helped me to hone my skills. So the other thing I found to be very helpful is, I don't know, this must have been 15, 20 years ago. I sat on Excel and I just put together this really simple spreadsheet. It has 4 columns, and the first column is who the client is. Second column is what is the task. The third column is the person who is going to be doing that task, and the fourth column is the date that it's due. And boy, it just makes everybody accountable, including myself. And we share this to-do list. So that keeps us all up to date as to what's going on. And, you know, this job has so many details and so much going on. Without organization, boy, you are lost in the woods. So, yeah. And then, of course, the great potential and talent in Zita. She handles the business like it's her own, and I trust her. Also, the talent, my other employees, you know, the realization that it may not be exactly what I would do, but they are creating great design. And after all, design is subjective, and nothing's submitted without my review at this point. So there's still that finger on the pulse there.
Love that. So now that we're all kind of experiencing something new, this thing we call a pandemic.
Yeah.
I was talking to my Rachel here the other day, and I'm like, sometimes I still have these moments where I'm like, is this really real? Or is it, you know how you always say we're living in a dream or living the dream? Well, we're living in a dream, but it's new reality.
Or a nightmare, right?
With that being said, what are you all doing to stay productive during this time?
Well, I'm happy that we all have individual offices at the firm, and we're trying to social distance from one another. That's a tough one, but we are trying to do it. When we go out to construction sites, we are wearing masks. And, you know, it's so easy to forget that, and I find myself leaving the car without a mask on. It's like, oh, need my mask. And, but it's just so important. And now seeing all these numbers go up, I think it magnifies just how important it is. And, you know, I think the other thing is it's a lot more work. We have done 2 presentations on Zoom already. And one presentation was actually to a 5-member committee. So we had to put together, including us, 6 packets. We usually do this anyway for our presentations, but usually it's just one to present to the client. But we have these wonderful plastic folders, and the fabrics are organized by rooms, and we usually give 3 options, and we do the same thing for our furniture. So we literally have bins for clients. That 5-team design committee, it actually worked out really well. We did it together on Zoom. I mean, there were little pauses. Oh my gosh, where's that envelope? Where's this envelope? But everything was close by, and we got through it, and they made decisions, and it was successful. And we've just done it again for a condo in New York. So we're making it happen, but I will say it's a lot of work. And it's really helpful to be extremely organized to keep the clients on track. And recently, we were going to go to New York to meet with clients, and then all of a sudden, they decided they didn't want us coming from Florida watching those numbers go up. And we ended up FaceTiming with them, set up all the appointments for them to go to the D&D, and we walked through everything we had already presented to them, so they saw all the furniture, the tear sheets. And so they went into the showrooms, and they saw everything while we were on the phone with them, and that worked out perfectly. It worked out. Zita and I were scared about it. We were kind of kicking all the way, but it actually turned out pretty well. So you know what, you're dealing with it. Yeah, everyone's got to deal with it. Yeah,
whatever that is.
Alternative, exactly.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
So my final question to you before we take some questions from our audience. So what's next for Allison? Where are you headed with all of this? So
I'm 53. I'd like to continue on the path that I'm on. It seems to be working well. And I would love to retire at 60. That's my goal. You know, life goes so fast. And I'm poisoning myself, and I'm poisoning my staff now. Now is definitely the time to get things in place to do so. I I love the creative process, and I'll always love that. So I want to continue with product design. I'm just having a blast doing that. It's been a lot of fun with hopefully Century and other great companies. And my final goal is to sail around the world.
I love that. So
Yeah.
I'm actually going to ask the first question only because I know you so well, and I thought it would be interesting for. No, I'm keeping it G-rated, trust me.
That's good.
And I know you've done a lot more sketching. When the rest of us may work out or run or go to the movies or whatever it is we do in our free time, but your go-to is to render. And maybe talk a little bit about that while we have some questions that start to populate.
Sure. So I was introduced actually from E.J. Victor to this fabulous renderer who's in the Philippines. Trey Bishop is his name, and I'll do my sketches, and then we'll do the CAD from my office. We'll get the CAD done, and we send off to the Philippines the CAD, and then all of a sudden the next day in the morning, I'm greeted in my inbox with all these fabulous and maybe not so fabulous renderings. But that's been a game changer, being able to see. I remember when the first cut of my furniture collections came in, and I can remember John Jockin and I were, looking at everything. I literally was in tears. I was so excited. And most of the furniture was great. All the case pieces were great. The sofas and chairs were great, but the dining chairs were horrendous. So, now I didn't have the renderings at that point, but having the renderings now, being able to look at things from every angle, boy, it's saved a lot of money in prototypes and a lot of time. So yeah, that's how my sketching process works.
Yeah, no better place to sketch than on a sailboat.
It's so, it is so therapeutic, and my head is clear too. I think, with so many details of business in your brain, it's good to. It's also good for the business too to stand back and look at things rather than being in that, bubble.
So we'll just wait to see. We don't have any questions at this point, but we'll wait just a minute or two to see if anybody chimes in, and otherwise we'll close it out. Just a moment. You want to ask Lauren and Zita to run in real quick and show their face so they know who your team is?
You know what? She just left to go on a job site.
Likely.
I will look for you all to met her.
Oh, here we go. This is from Guy Holbrook. We all know who our friend Guy Holbrook is.
Absolutely.
His question to you is, what do you enjoy the most? The interior design side or product design?
I do love the interior design side. It's funny, I listen to myself say that I'm going to stop when I'm 60. I don't know if that's actually possible. It's hard to choose. I will say clients sometimes can be a challenge. So doing product design, I'm really just, I'm on my own there. So that can be a little freeing. But I don't know. They're both in my blood, guys. So what can I tell you? It's hard to choose between the two.
You may say you're retiring at 60, and you may slow down, but I don't think that sketch pad will ever dry out.
Yeah, I know. I know. And also, my other half says the same thing. He can't imagine that ever happening. Nor does he want to deal with me, I don't think, 24/7. Right?
Question from what are the challenges of designing outdoor products, and how do you want people to feel when they use your piece?
That's a good question. So working with you guys at Century, I really wanted the furniture to be comfortable. I mean, some of this stuff it is so low and so boxy and not comfortable. Our dining chair is the arm and the side, I think, is a little overscaled, and we purposely did that so that I come from an Italian family. We like to manja and have some after dinner drinks and stay a while. So, it's nice to be able to be in a chair that's super comfortable. And then also seating areas. That was our goal. So there was some back and forth there, and to make sure that the finish. Fortunately, you all had the powder coated finish in the system for a while. So, and it was something I was concerned about, but I'm glad that's all worked out. And then the inner workings to make sure everything is made for the outdoors. I mean, I'm from the Palm Beach area in Florida, and the ocean is just brutal. So making sure that everything can withstand the weather, I would say, are probably the most important things that I was focused on.
Right. Next question is from our VP of Marketing, Comer. And she says, living on a sailboat, you obviously don't get to have many knickknacks.
No.
Shelves on the boat, and what are the things you always have with you? I like that.
So it's funny, I also am with a minimalist. Well, I'm a minimalist, but he gives new meaning to that word. There's very few accessories that I have, but I do. I took a table, my very first dining table that I designed. It's actually solid zebra wood. I'm not even sure if you can find that anymore. But we just replaced the table that was on the boat with my zebra wood table. So that's very near and dear to my heart.
Awesome. We also have a question from Lorna, and she says, it sounds as if your project management process is very streamlined. Are there specific technology platforms that you love?
That's a great question. We use Studio Designer, and it's just a great program from the proposal phase that goes to the client. All the way to the proposal. The exact proposal actually turns into a purchase order and turns into an invoice, so everything is consistent, because we wouldn't want to confuse our clients. And the other thing that Studio Designer has is a status report that we send the client on a monthly basis. We actually, they'll do custom reports for you. We did a custom report, all color coded. We have green, which means complete. We have yellow, that means pending, and red means we have got a problemo. So, and that goes out to the client monthly so that they know what's going on with their orders at all time. And the other thing that it has is a fabulous accounting report. It always blows my mind when a client says to me, hey, Allison, can you tell me what we've spent thus far? And it's reassuring for them to receive the accounting report. It's a great tool. So we're loving Studio, and like I had mentioned, our to-do list is just a simple little form that I did on Excel, but boy, is it ever effective. We update that. We try to do it on a weekly basis and meet and go over all these little details that we all know is required with interior design. But that's a good one too.
And I'm so surprised that it's color coded. Not.
Of course.
It's obsessive compulsive.
Yeah, right.
There are no more questions at this time, so I think we'll go. Good. Allison, wonderful seeing you. Thank you again for being with us. I look forward to when I'm on your sailboat sipping a cocktail with you.
All right, me too. Thank you for having me.
And to everyone, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you a month from now on August 12th as we have a conversation with Jesse Carrier and Mara Miller, and we will discuss how their upbringing shaped their present-day design aesthetic. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, creativity connects. We'll see you next time for Centuries Wednesdays at 1.